Hi, I'm Larry Richardson, your step-by-step chef. And in this episode of Cooking with Plant-Based Meats, we are going to make an absolutely delicious plant-based beef bolognese with pasta. Now this dish is very easy to make, but it's extremely tasty. And why are we using plant-based meats? 1, they're delicious. 2, it cuts out some of the animal-based meats from our diet, which a lot of doctors are telling us to do. And 3, it's good for the environment. Plant-based meat requires less fossil fuels than producing animal-based meats. And that means less greenhouse gases and less global warming. So what I call this dish is a win-win-win. This is a winner of a dish. So come on, let's cook. So here are the ingredients for our plant-based ground beef bolognese. First of all, I do have this plant-based ground beef. We're going to use 1.5 cups of that in this recipe. Now, a number of different companies are making crumbled ground beef, so find the one that works for you. We're also going to use this large can of crushed tomatoes, 1/4 cup of minced sweet onion, 1/4 cup of minced orange pepper. Red pepper and green pepper are fine too. They just happen to have orange at the store. We're going to use 3 cloves of garlic. We're going to mince that or crush it. That's up to you. A teaspoon of dried Italian seasonings. And start off with that teaspoon, give the sauce a taste, and then decide if you want to add a little bit more. We're going to salt the sauce to taste. I try to keep the salt way down to a minimum and let people add more at the table. We're going to saute the veggies in 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Our special guest star is that bag of baby spinach back there. We're going to use about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of that minced. And what that does is it adds some nice color to the dish, some texture, and absolutely some flavor, and a little bit of nutrition too. So it's good to have that around. The final thing we're going to do is prepare the pasta of your choice. I'm using rotini today. You can use shells, you name it. If you like it, get that, and just prepare that according to the box. So let me show you how to put all this together. And the prep work for this dish is pretty basic. We're just going to rinse off the pepper, just cut off a piece of it, because again, we only need 1/4 cup of this minced. And then we just slice it in these thin slices. And of course, if you're making it and you have to get into that core at all, remove the core and the seeds. Nobody wants seedy bolognese. I know I don't. I mean, it'll give a little extra crunch, but not the kind of crunch people desire. So we're just giving this a little mince. Cut it into these little pieces. Okay, we'll just push that aside. There we go. And then we'll take our onion, just cut the cap off it. Give it a nice little peel. Onion appeal. I love these sweet onions. And then we just take the top and we cut. Don't go too deep in because we only need 1/4 cup. And just put these lines really close on the top. And then go perpendicular. So you're making these little squares on the top. Keep them nice and close together. Okay, and then we just cut down the face. And that'll give us our 1/4 cup of minced onion. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. And now with the garlic, oops, that's a big piece. With the garlic, if you have one of these crushers, use the crusher. If you don't, you can just mince up the garlic. Just finely mince it, because we're going to cook it anyways. Here, let me put this. And you can adjust the ingredients any way you like. If you make this dish and you're like, wow, it needs more onion, want to know something? Add more onion. That's why you're cooking. That's why you're learning how to cook. Is so that you can make things that taste the way you like it. You know, you don't have to eat out or rely on other people for food. If you want it, you can just throw it together. Isn't that cool? Okay, and then we'll just crush the garlic right into this. And if you don't like garlic, you don't have to add garlic. I love garlic. This should be called the garlic to garlic chef, the garlic by garlic, the garlic guy chef, because garlic shows up all over the place in my recipes. It's just a real flavor enhancer. But I always do tell people, if you don't like garlic, don't add it. So you can see this is crushing it down quite nicely. And these crushers are all over the place now. When I first bought this, they weren't that easy to find. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Hey, not that old. So just give it a little crush. There we go. This is really good for the hand strength too. You've seen the guys walking around in the gyms with those hand strengtheners. Just get one of these. Walk around crushing garlic in the gym. You won't be the most popular person in the gym, but you'll have plenty of garlic by the end of your workout. Okay, and then the next thing we'll do is just chop up our spinach. And this spinach is pre-rinsed, ready to use. So if you bought some that isn't, make sure to rinse it off. And because it's baby spinach, I don't have to cut it down too small because honestly, when we're sautéing, this will shrink right up. But I like to give it a little bit of a cut because I don't want people to have the sensation of eating larger leaves in their beef bolognese. So giving it a slice, getting these babies cut down is pretty important. Now, you can see I have a little bit more spinach than I said. This is probably 2 cups of chopped spinach, but executive decision time. I love spinach, and I love the way it makes me feel, so I'm going to add this. If you don't like spinach as much, you can leave it out. If you love spinach, you can add more. If you're like me and you're moderate, you can add as much as I did. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to meet you over at the stove. Okay, now I've already started the water for the pasta that I'm preparing according to the directions on the package. Now this pan has preheated over just over quarter heat. I'm adding our olive oil. And then what we'll do is just spread that a little bit on the bottom of the pan and add our veggies. We're going to saute these a little bit. The funny thing about these plant-based meats is they don't really require intensive browning like hamburger does. They certainly require some cooking, but not the intensive browning that I would do with burger. So I want to get these started, get them slightly sauteed, and then I'll add the plant-based crumbled beef to it, and that'll pick up some of the flavor from the vegetables, and we'll saute the spinach down at that point too. And then we're just going to pour the sauce right into this and stir it up, the crushed tomatoes, and it will come out tasty. This pan's a little sleepy today, but once it gets rolling, the saute process, it'll probably take 8 to 10 minutes total, and I mean all ingredients. So let's just give this a second to get sizzly. There we go, that's what we're talking about. Just a little bit of a sizzle going. Now we just want to get the onion slightly clear. We don't want to burn the garlic. And actually, really what we're trying to do is let the garlic give out a little bit of its flavor before we add everything else. Wow, does that smell delicious already? Okay, I can see that the onion is starting to look a little bit translucent, starting to get a little bit clear. So I'm just going to add our crumble. And again, this is another ingredient where you can add more or less of it. And make sure to read the instructions on the package of the crumble that you buy to make sure that you're preparing it the way they recommend, because the handling is a little bit different with every one of them. It depends on what the crumble is made of and how finely it's milled. Okay. And then here's our spinach. We're going to wilt that down as part of this process. And then we'll even add our Italian seasonings. This will help to meld in all the flavors together. And like I told you, don't go to town on these dried Italian seasonings the first time through. Whoa, just had a little water spill. You want to make sure that it doesn't taste like just dried Italian seasonings. You want to be able to taste the other ingredients. So if you finish the sauce and you give it a taste and you think it needs more dried Italian seasonings, then add it at that point. Okay. And make sure you keep this moving. You want the ingredients to start to melt together. We'll add our little bit of salt to it now too. Okay. And you can see that the spinach is starting to wilt already. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing right now for another 5 minutes, and then I'll be right back. And here we are 5 minutes later. You can see the spinach is cooked down nicely and all the ingredients have melded together. So we're just going to add our crushed tomatoes. Just stir those in. Now we're going to want this to simmer up until serving temperature. So that might take, 5-10 minutes depending on your stove. What I strongly recommend is that you give it a stir, get everything nice and mixed in together. Look at that color. Get it nice and mixed in, and then cover it, because if you don't cover it, this tomato is going to start, I think for want of a better term, blooping or bubbling, and it will land on you and all over your kitchen. And adjust the temperature down, because we just want a nice slow simmer, so adjust it down if necessary. And once this reaches serving temperature and my pasta's done, it's ready to eat. So I'll be right back. Ooh, you can hear that simmering, so let's take a look. Oh, yum. That is plant-based Bolognese. My pasta's ready, and I'm ready to eat. So congratulations. Look at what you just did. I just did it too. This is my lunch. We just made this delicious plant-based beef Bolognese. I think you're absolutely going to love this dish. Now, if you like this recipe, please visit my website, stepbystepchef.com. There you will find over 225 recipes. Some of them are plant-based, some of them have animal-based meats, and some of them are completely vegetarian. It's all vegetables all the way. Now, I am encouraging these plant-based dishes, especially because we all want to be planetary heroes. Let's do something to cut back on greenhouse gases, climate change, global warming, and environmental disaster. That makes us heroes, one plate at a time. We can do this. Now, what you will find when you visit stepbystepchef.com is a printable recipe for this dish and all the other dishes, and links to free videos where you and I work together through every single one of them, the step-by-step way. I look forward to seeing you there. I'm waiting. I am waiting over 225 times to work with you, so I hope you will show up. I'm already there. You just have to click the link. So please check out my website. So I'm Larry Richardson. I am your step-by-step chef, and I'll see you in the next episode. Oh, I can't wait for lunch.